Hey everyone, welcome. Monday afternoon here to Weather Legends. We've got a new episode today, and we're going to have some fun today, talking about some of our experiences on air and some of our kind of bloopers and funny things that we've experienced throughout our careers in TV and radio. And today we've got, so far, we've got Joe Chaffee with us, meteorologist Joe Chaffee, meteorologist Pat Pagano with the new look there in the little radio studio. Looks pretty good. Welcome. Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon, guys. And well, I guess we'll be waiting on Bill and Joe Rayo. Hopefully they can come in and, check out and check in actually and tell us some of their stories. So we can probably get started, I guess, with who wants to go first? Oh boy, you want to go with, I'll tell you what, we'll go with Pat Pagano first, because you're looking pretty good today in that new setup there. Looks like a big radio studio.
I like the shirt. I like the shirt, Pat.
Oh, thanks.
Forget the background, right? It's got that air of South Queens.
Yeah. Since tomorrow's April Fool's Day, I remember an April Fool's Day when I was on WYNY FM. The host at that point was Harry Harrison. He used to be on, I believe, correct me, Joe, if I'm wrong, I think he was part of the WMCA Good Guys. Way back.
I think you're right. I remember. I mean, he was also on WABC. I remember that.
Yeah. And we had a nor'easter coming up the coast, and it's April 1st. Said rain, changing over to snow, 1 inch expected. And he said, "That's it." I said, "That's it. It's April. The sun's high. Temperatures are not that cold. 1 inch." Next day, April 2nd. 12 inches fell in New York City. Do I have to tell you how he just ripped me from one end to the other? No mercy at all. None whatsoever. He said he was getting ready for an inch. He got 12 inches, and he just went on and on and on and on. I think that was probably one of my biggest bluffs in radio.
Yeah, I think we've seen some issues like that with going on air with the weather forecast itself. But you mentioned something else, Pat, another story. I guess something happened about the turkey, something like that. The turkey story. Tell us about the turkey story.
WSYR, Syracuse, New York, started at 5 o'clock in the morning. They used to call it the wired woodshed, and you'd hear a barn door open. I also did a trivia with them where we played the audience against me. I would give the trivia question, and the audience would have to try to come up with the answers. Well, it was just before Thanksgiving, and he said to me, the host, he said, "How you doing?" And I said, "I'm doing great, Don. I just finished decorating for Thanksgiving." And he said, "What'd you do?" I said, "Well, I have the turkey." Don't ask me why I said this. I said, "Now just put all the gonads all around it." Click, off the air I went. I had no idea what I said, nothing at all. He called me back, and I'm telling you, every word was a curse word. Every word was a curse word, and he never let me. He never let that down. As long he's gone now, but as long as we were part of WSYR, off the air, we always talked about it.
The gonads.
The gonads. Yeah. Oh boy. That's
on that note.
On that note, let's go to Joe Chaffee. Can you top that, Joe?
Well, perhaps, but not in the sense of using the wrong word, but it was sort of something that was unplanned. Well, the funniest stuff is the stuff that winds up being unplanned. I was working the Picks morning show, and Sukanya Christian was the anchor. And I mean, I loved her. She was great to work with, a lot of fun, really good with the, one-liners and jabs and so on. And she did something that I did not expect. So they were doing some kind of, segment, and they would always play this sort of bouncy music in the background. And the next thing I knew, she's behind me this is all live. she's behind me on the set, and I can't remember the context, but all I remember is her gently taking my head and resting it back in her breasts. Okay.
Oh no.
One on each side. And I know I must have said something. I don't quite remember, but that was a very interesting thing. And everybody's breaking out laughing. Another instance was with Kaidi Tong, and Kaidi also, very great with jabs, one-liners, and so on. And I got set up into a double entendre type of thing. So we were talking about it was cold, and we were talking about, I guess, heating or something. And I mentioned that I split. I'd actually split was 10 cords of firewood after Hurricane Sandy. I had split, all this firewood. And so I bring that up, and without missing a beat, she just kind of looks at me and she says, "Well, how big is your wood?" And I just, it didn't dawn on me immediately, so I just responded to the question. I said, "Well, I cut the pieces. They're about this big, like this," and of course, everybody's howling at this point, and I'm thinking, why are they laughing? We're talking about my firewood. It's I was so into splitting firewood, and normally my brain would have picked up on the whole thing right away, but I was so proud of the fact that I had split all these cords of firewood from the trees that came down from Hurricane Sandy. I stacked everything. I had bought I was splitting by hand with an axe, and I also had an electric splitter that I was using for big trunks. So here she lays down this line about how big is my wood. Then, in the middle of it, it finally hit me where she went with this, and I blushed. I just a big smile. It was a very, very funny moment.
Yeah, it's and sometimes you're caught off guard. It's just like certain things you don't even realize you're doing. And what you're saying, and then it's just like you look back later and go, "What the heck did I say?" And that kind of happened to me. I'll tell you my story here. I used to work before I did News 12. I was upstate in Burlington, Vermont, at the ABC affiliate, and this was an old station. They had the old kind of like machines with the tapes that used to stretch the red, cartridges. Pat, remember those? The red TV.
Oh yeah.
That's how they with like the hydraulics, and it was a weird place. So we had a Commodore Amiga for a computer and a video toaster. Who remembers those? The old video. Oh God, yeah. Remembers Kiki on the video toaster? Remember that? She used to twirl, and I was in love with Kiki. Yeah, it was a great thing. But up there, I basically worked the PM shift. It was the Monday through Friday. And I don't know if we'll ever find this tape, because I don't even know if they did air checks. My engineers at News 12 were dying to try to find this. But we had a situation, 11 o'clock show. I was doing the final show of the night. Desk, suit and tie, come back. Now, we were going to have a little bit of either ice or frost or something the following morning. So I'm talking to my anchor, and he goes, "So, Rich, looks like tomorrow morning, folks, when they wake up, what are they going to have to expect, and what do they have to do?" I said, "Well, when you get out of your house and go to your car, you're going to have to scrape the ice off the windshield."
Oh, no. Oh, gee.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, boy.
Came back into the newsroom, and everyone was agape, and my wife calls me and says, "Rich, how do you scrape ice off a windshield?" That was my claim to fame there. But we never found that tape, unfortunately. But that was one of the funniest moments I had. And there's been many. I know I'm waiting for Bill to join us too, because he had quite an episode here. He hasn't joined us, but I can play the tape and the blooper from what he experienced many years ago at News 12. I remember this. He was in the studio. And, when we go on TV, Joe, there's the clickers. We use the clickers to advance the weather machines. Okay. So let me play this clip for you here. He's with Colin and Lee Tyrell, and he's going to do his weather. And let's watch what happens here with his clicker.
Bill Corbell's over at the weather map. Bill?
I am indeed. Take a look at Hurricane Erica. And there it is. We've looking back over about a day and a half. You can see it's now moving nicely up to the north and east. Bermuda's up in here, so it's going to pass well east of Bermuda. Why that turn? Take a look at something else. This is our water vapor loop here. This is interesting. I have my car key, my car door opener instead of my. That is very funny. I just opened the car. Well, anyway, there's Eric out there. There it is, moving there. This dry air here is the front that came through last Thursday. Hope nobody steals the car while I've been pressing buttons. Maybe this opens up car doors, too. I don't know. Meanwhile, let's take a look at local satellite radar. Still some clouds around, some scattered showers, but it should stay just mostly cloudy.
You just kept going, trying to keep going.
Tonight, 61 to 65 degrees. Oh, this is a good one, isn't it? All right. Tomorrow, as you head to school or work, wherever you're going, it's going to be kind of cloudy. Sun will pop out, 71 to 76 degrees. They won't stop laughing.
It wouldn't let them go.
Here's the extended forecast.
Very funny.
Speaks for itself, Bill. Now go get in your car, drive home.
I guess you unlocked the door.
You're welcome.
That was a good one.
Very
He always tells that
You hear
story.
Colleen McVeigh's laugh in the background. She had that really funny laugh, but it was contagious. And the more she laughed, the more everybody laughed because you're laughing at the person who's laughing. That was hilarious.
Like Joe said, the funniest things are the things that are not planned. Now, I think Joe will be able to chime in with this one, but I don't know about you, Rich. This was very innocent, of course, not planned. WALK in the morning drive. It was a Friday, and we were doing the weekend forecast, and he said, since it is going to rain, Pat, on Sunday, what will you be doing? I said, well, usual Sunday dinner, macaroni, meatballs. He goes, oh, I said, I make the gravy first. And he said, hold on. You make what? I said, I make the gravy. He said, you mean sauce? I said, I don't mean sauce. I mean gravy. It started you have no idea. It went on for weeks. Listeners calling in, emailing. How many people said, no, it's gravy? How many people said, no, it's sauce? Joe, what's your take on that?
It's neither gravy nor sauce. Just
What
to
is
be to be technical. I'm a first generation Italian here. I was, barely born here because my parents came here in the late 50s. So actually, growing up, speaking the language, which I still do, and being surrounded by relatives that spoke the language, it's actually salsa. Believe it or not.
Really?
Well, it's la salsa. You kind of drop the last vowel. And also, if you're making a meat sauce, so this is where it gets tricky. Okay. So if you're making a meat sauce in Italian is ragu. Okay. Now, if as an Italian, if you're a native Italian and you say ragu, you're saying meat sauce. And if you're not a native Italian and you say ragu, then you are using one of the biggest abominations ever known to man as far as tomato sauce is concerned. So it just got a little, corrupting that name was almost a game changer.
So Joe, what's bolognese?
Well, bolognese that's a sauce.
Isn't that a meat sauce?
Yeah. It's a meat sauce, with carrots and celery and onions and garlic.
Oh, I didn't know. Okay.
Yeah. But if you make, when I make it, I make my own meatballs from scratch.
Right.
Okay. And I will put in, if I can find them, because I like to get short ribs that are like thick with meat on it, not thin with a layer of fat, especially at how expensive they are. So I like to also, I'll also get a rack of baby back spare ribs, pork, and I'll put like half a rack in there, and then I will add 2 small lamb chops. to give it a little edge, because the lamb is, I don't think it does. A lot of people think that lamb's got a gamey taste to it. I don't quite accept that. But I put a little lamb in my sauce just to give it a little edge. If you put too much lamb, then you're going to have a problem. But that is my Sunday ragu. Okay.
That sounds good. Okay.
Again,
Sounds good.
Of course, it's wonderful, for God's sake.
Sounds terrific. I'm getting hungry. I haven't had lunch yet, Joe. You drive me crazy here.
The smell of cooking sauce carries for miles.
Always that smell. I
Miles.
used to live in Astoria, Queens. There's always that smell. We got a viewer here checking in here. Greg Horan. He's asking. He finds this interesting. He says, "Pat, are you still on the radio?"
Thank God, there's one.
Yes, I am. I'm still on WALK, WHLI, B103, and one other. Why do I keep forgetting that one? Rock Station. Well, anyhow, you have 3 to choose from, and they all stream.
You hope they don't forget you when it's payday, whichever one you forgot. Just out of curiosity, Pat, because I did HLI years ago. Is their format still the same?
I think they changed it, Joe.
They did?
That's like everything now. You're talking about the music of your life, right? When you did
they
it?
used to, they would play all, 40s and 50s classical stuff.
Right.
When I say class, I mean classic
Right.
stuff. Sinatra,
Right. Yeah.
Patti Page,
Yeah.
Rosemary Clooney.
They're doing everything.
So they do all of that?
They do all of it, yeah. Yep.
Because when I was doing them, I was with Dean Anthony. And it was also an ex-WMCA guy, Dean Anthony, Jack Spector. Some very just speaking of legends, these guys were radio
They
legends.
sure are.
Yeah, I remember the old 101 CBS oldies with Cousin Brucey. I guess did you actually know Cousin
He's
Brucey?
still around. Yeah, he's still around.
No kidding. And what was it like? Did you ever work with him, or you just kind of like?
I never worked with Cousin Brucey. I never worked with CBS FM, only CBS AM.
I gotcha. Okay. And like I said, I remember also too how far I go back, Joe. How about this one? I'm going to blow your mind right now. I mean, I may be a little younger, but I remember it was 11:30 a.m. WNEW, and it was what was his name? It was what was his name? The host. I remember his name, Bob. Oh my gosh! It just I had it on the tip of my tongue. Who was the old host? He would play all the old songs. If anybody knows that, not Bob Harris. Oh
No.
gosh.
I was not an NEW listener. Rayo would know the answer to this.
Yeah, he would probably know that. But I remember when I was a kid, we had the transistor radio on top of the fridge, and I was forced to listen to 11:30 a.m. WNEW all morning, and they would play all the old Sinatra songs, all this stuff. That's how I grew. I'm like 7, 8, 9, 10 years old, and I'm listening to this AM station, as I'm growing up there.
See, there's a difference between you and I, because growing up as an Italian, first generation Italian, and with my parents who were, immigrants, and they became citizens in the mid '60s when I was 5 years old. So we would listen to WEVD, because in those days, back in the early and mid in the '60s, they did Italian programming in the afternoon.
Yeah.
And I there were certain things about it that I still remember. They used to have a Ronzoni was one of the sponsors. So there'd be this. I forgot it was a female voice because it was a song. She sang through the whole commercial. It was, "Now you're really cooking. You're really, really cooking Italian," and just all of that would just sort of ring through the house. And was it a furniture store, Wyckoff Avenue, Stockholm Street in Brooklyn? Does that ring a bell?
Oof. No.
Yeah, there was like some kind of furniture store on Wyckoff Avenue next to Stockholm Street. That's but that was the extent of my radio listening when I was very, very young.
Yeah.
And then other than that, I was never a big music type of person. My ear on radio was listening to 1010 Wins and WCBS radio. I just, for some reason, I really just enjoyed listening to news stations and absorbing all that stuff. But
Ted Brown, my God, the Ted Brown show.
Yeah.
see, finally, somebody hit you over the head. Finally, huh, Rich?
Ted Brown. Yeah, that was kind of what I grew up. Yeah, okay, the Ted Brown show.
Beauty
He was
of
great.
It's the beauty of getting old.
I can't believe I didn't remember that. But it was like years, and it was funny when I'm half Sicilian, half German. I was raised, very hard Catholic, and I used to go to church every weekend. 5:00 mass on Saturdays, and
that doesn't count. Stop. Okay, stop.
We didn't. My mom. We never wanted to go on Sundays.
You went to 5:00 mass on Saturday. That didn't really count.
It was. My mom never wanted to go.
We're doing it.
She never wanted to get up Sunday morning. Sunday was the day we went to the grandparents and we had the Sicilian, the meals and the dinners. And I think my grandmother invented grandma pizza. It was unbelievable. It was Astoria, Queens, right there, Astoria, College Point. That's where my roots came from there. But those were our Sundays. Every Sunday it was the same thing. We didn't have ragu though, Joe.
What'd you have?
I don't know what it was. It was just terrific though. It was a good sauce.
Did you only have
to ask?
Did you guys only have? We had pasta and sauce 3 times a week, every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday.
We would have it. We would have it on Sundays, and Sunday would be a day where it was seldom that we were by ourselves. I mean, either my grandparents were over, or sometimes my grandparents with my uncles and my aunts and the kids. During the week, the sauce would return, but for different things. Like my mother would use it, say, to make steak pizzaiolo. Okay.
Yeah, I remember that.
So, or she'd make linguine and then just kind of lighten up the sauce a little bit. But as far as like the full pot, the full big pot of meat sauce cooking on the stove, and then the big pot of boiling water for pasta. That was almost strictly a Sunday thing.
A Sunday thing.
Monday was always soup. Monday was always like chicken soup or something for the starter dish. Tuesdays might have been like roast chicken. Okay. Wednesdays was a parmigiana day, so it would always be eggplant parmigiana. And unfortunately, as much as I love eggplant parm, when I was a kid, I was allergic to it. I'm no longer allergic to it, but growing up, it was tough because I would eat it and I would break out in all of these mouth sores. So that was never fun. Thursday was probably like a beefy kind of day, maybe hamburgers or something. Friday was fish. Oh, and God, I hated it, by the way. I hated it because, it's not the fish that most people would eat now, okay, like salmon or you get shrimp or anything.
Right.
My mother would buy these cold water fishes and like force you to eat them, and you would gag. Bacala, merluzzo. I mean, it's like you can't give this stuff to kids. It was horrible.
Mm-hmm.
But like any good Italian mother, she'd force it down your throat and lock you in the bathroom with the dish and tell you if you couldn't leave it until you finished what was on there. Saturday was always steaks. Saturday was steak and potatoes, and then Sunday was sauce day.
Yeah. We ate pretty well. It was good back in the day. Yeah, but we still eat pretty well now. I got to say it's still decent. But yeah, some of the old school recipes were just, I mean, you can't really find those today. It's just amazing how different it was back then. I don't know what it was about it, but it was just really, it was just different. Wish I could taste it again. My grandma used to have the, when you went to the house and you had the pizza dough was underneath the bed, the bed spread there.
Right.
Yeah.
That's when you knew it was going to be a good day.
I loved eating raw pizza dough. I still do.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
Because I make it sometimes, and I'm always like pinching pieces off of it. I always like doing that.
Anyway, Bill's going to join us shortly. He had to step out for a moment, so he is on his way. I just heard. Okay, it's one of those.
That's the rumor.
But I did want to thank Joe Chaffee yesterday. Yesterday he appeared on Island Wide Weather and did a little bit of a get together with the crew there, John, Glenn, and Don. I want to thank you, Joe, for just talking to us.
Plug in the legends, baby. Plug in the legends.
These guys, Island Web Weather, do a really nice job here, doing Long Island weather here. They got a big following, and they're updating very consistently. And it was nice to have you on there and chat with them and chat with these folks here for Long Island. And, just give them a shout out here for kind of giving us a little bit of a plug here too at Weather Legends. Kind of a different thing we do here. We talk a little more about our stories, a little more about the topics and history and what we've seen in the past. And Island-wide, of course, doing their map discussions, their daily weather, and their podcast. You can catch them too. But thanks again, Joe. It was nice to see us kind of work together with them. And now we're doing our thing here, and it's good to see we're getting a little more of an audience checking in. Everybody checking in. Check the bios too. I put a lot of those together. The influences, it's good stories there too about what got us into weather. Pat, I loved your stories too about the stations you worked at across the country. You bopped around quite a bit. Now, did you move in those areas, or did you just like broadcast for those areas?
Everything from Long Island. Everything from Long Island. I mean, we had stations in Alaska. I remember.
Really? Wow.
Oh yeah, Alaska. And then again, we did a lot of movies. So we were all over the place with the movies. Mexico. I can't even remember half of the places, but that's what really made the job interesting. But on the other hand, difficult. Because if you had a major snowstorm occurring in the Northeast, I'm needed on those stations. But at the same time, you have to have forecasts being sent out at different times on the West Coast and in Mexico and places like that. Very frustrating. That, in a way, I am so happy right now that I'm semi-retired and all I have to worry about is Long Island, period.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of Long Island, look who's joining us.
There he is. Hi, Bill.
Well,
What time is it?
well, Mr. Corbell,
We're on Zulu time.
You know what? Stop.
Oh,
And his phone's ringing.
it might be important.
I wake up in the middle of the night, think I'm late for a broadcast.
yeah.
I do.
Oh, do you have those? Do you have those long build? Maybe
The
Pat,
nightmare.
and Rich.
I always have the
I
nightmare.
still have them every once in a great while. I have the long hallway dream.
Yeah.
Okay. And you got 2 minutes and you're running down this long hallway, and it's like the Poltergeist hallway in the movie Poltergeist. It just gets longer and longer, and you're running down. You never seem to get to the studio. The clock is ticking. The only little difference in mine is that as I'm running, my clothes are falling off.
Oh, that's an extra.
So by the time I get there, I'm completely naked. Or where I'm putting like clothes on and they start falling apart. Like whole pieces of the suit will just start breaking off and flying off. I still get those. And yet in all my 40 plus years, I don't think I ever missed a cue. I was always there when I was supposed to be there. So I don't know why I had this fear that would come up every once in a while that I was never going to be, never going to be at work on time.
Mine, if I may interrupt, mine started early on. I had just gone to work at WOR radio, not TV. And WOR was the number one station in the city. And I was on the morning show, which is the number one station. Now, the John Gambling show was on 6 days a week, 6 mornings a week. But Saturday was pre-taped, everything except the weather, excuse me, and the newscasts. But John would retape the other sections, which was okay. So it's Saturday morning. I've been there a few months, maybe a month. And I'm listening. And the weather center was probably 50 yards from the studio, not that far. But all of a sudden I hear, all right, let's check the weather with Bill Corbell. Bill, how's it look? Oh, my God. Now, the director working didn't think of maybe calling me ahead of time saying weather's coming up pretty soon. So I run down there, pop into the seat, and now I've hyperventilated. And I'm trying to talk, and I'm breathing. And after it was done, two things. My mother thought I was having a heart attack because she was listening. And I figured John's going to fire me. It's all over already. I met him the next Monday morning. I said, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
So that may have triggered my missing a broadcast thing, which just
erupted again today. Thank you very much.
Well, it's all good. Hey, we actually, showed your little mishap. But if you want to talk more about it here with your
The
clicker
mishap
issue
with
here.
the remote.
Yeah. But why don't we talk a little more about it here again? So something happened here. Let me go
Are you going to
back.
run it again?
Wrong person.
Well, let me see. I got the wrong person. I've got Joe on there. Let me go back to this. All right. So apparently, what happened? Let's go back.
Oh, you
there.
didn't show it yet?
Oh, we did, but you can talk about it again. Go right ahead. So what?
First of all, notice I had dark hair.
We all had different hair.
Yeah, definitely.
I actually had some hair.
Bermuda.
We're talking about
Why
hurricane.
that turn?
Erica.
Take a look at something else. This is our water vapor loop here. This is interesting. I have my car key, my car door opener instead of my.
That was the first car I ever had that had just
That
this
is very
thing for
funny.
opening the door.
I just opened
And
the
it was
car.
the same size as the remote. Now you can hear the anchors laughing.
Well, anyway.
Well, you can hear
there's
Colleen
Eric out
laugh.
there.
Colleen
There,
laughing,
there's
yeah,
moving
and
air. This
I
dry air
can't
here in front that came through.
catch a break. Just when I start to
Last
get it, they
Thursday.
start laughing again, and they're right in
Hopefully my
view,
steals the
15
car
feet
well.
away.
I've
There's
been
no way of
pressing
avoiding it.
buttons. Maybe this opens up car doors too. I don't know.
Yeah, other car doors. I
Meanwhile,
meant.
let's take a look.
Did you ever actually find out if it did open your car door? Did you actually?
No, I'm imagining it didn't have that much range,
Right.
but
Probably
that was that. So you'll see when I go back to the desk, they're still laughing. I can't stop laughing. There you go. I couldn't
You
even
gotta
laugh.
kept it together, though.
Yeah. And
It's
look
funny.
at that.
Oh,
4-day
God.
forecast.
Yeah.
Not 5, not 7,
4.
not 10, certainly.
Yep.
There you
So yeah, that was pretty good, Bill. Like I remember that. I mean, and other than that, were there any other really weird things that happened to you, Bill, that you remember? I mean, we were there for what, at least 20, 25 years
Oh,
doing News
gee.
12. Was there anything crazy? I mean, I remember the black cat. Remember that? There was the cat that was in the News 12 studios one time.
We've had different things. We had let's see, we had a lion cub. We used to have a vet who did all kinds of things. He brought in, it was a tiger cub. Now, a tiger cub, this thing was probably 20 pounds, built like you expect a tiger cub to be. And I'm sitting there and he gives it to me to hold. And I'm thinking, my God, this thing could bite my face off. I also had giant snakes they brought in. I did, however, leave the night they had a bear, a real freaking big bear in the studio to do the section. And I looked at it and I said, I'm leaving. This wasn't on the air. I didn't want to be there when this thing went amok and killed somebody.
Did it go amok?
No, it didn't. It was pretty well trained, apparently, but
Wow.
that wasn't for me.
Well, we have bear. Where I live, Bill, we have bear, and I have found them to be quite resourceful and polite.
Very
Especially
polite, huh?
now in the spring. If I put my garbage out in the garbage pail, there was, because this actually happened. I had a bear come at night, took the whole bag. Took out the bag of garbage, took the whole bag of garbage with him into the woods.
There you go.
Just the one before that left garbage all over the ground. This one took the whole hefty bag and just carried it away.
Yeah. I'm trying to think what else went on. We did have a lot of fun. I have a video here if we have a second, and I can show it. Let me go to present, share screen.
Okay, give me a sec, because I'm looking for something pretty good too, but I got something. Yeah, I had something very funny happen to me in New Jersey, actually.
Okay. Can you see this?
Let me see. Let me get that for you, Bill. Yeah, I don't see it yet, but I'm
It's
looking.
on my screen.
Okay, see if you can present that as the window there, or as a video. And
I thought I did.
Oh, okay. Don't see it in the. Don't
Let
see it
me
in the.
try
lineup.
it again.
Okay.
Select to share.
There we go. Okay, because I had something funny happen to me, like in New Jersey, where I wasn't actually going on TV. It's a pretty good story. I'll share that with you shortly.
What do I drag it into the box? What do you do?
Yeah, it should be able to. Let's see.
Highlighted it.
Okay, and let's see.
Oh, window.
Yeah.
There we go.
There we go. I'll get it for you. I'll get that for you.
That one, I think. Is that it? It's hard for me to see.
There we go. I got it. There we go. Now I see it. I see
That's
something.
No, this is the one I wanted to show.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. I see your whole screen right there. So
You don't see Stone Grissom, huh?
No, I'm not seeing Stone.
I'm sorry we're doing this. Can we edit this out? Let me try it one more time.
Well, it's a show about seeing people, about funny things that have happened, and here's
there you go.
Well, I'm looking for mine too. But if while we're waiting, while we're waiting, Joe, was there anything else, Mr. Chaffee, that you can remember? What about at Pix? I mean, or even at Five?
Oh, well, yeah, those at the Pix. The one thing that was weird was the fact that I never had it happen before, and it only happened this one time where I sneezed while I was on the air. I mean, it was, and I was in the middle of a weather tease. It was a short weather tease, like 30 seconds. And I started, and I just get this big tickle across my nose. And, the trick is always to, usually just look up at the light, and that should make it go away. Well, it didn't. And I sneezed, and I do not have a quiet sneeze. My sneeze is loud. And all I remember, I think I said after it happened, I smiled and I just said, thank God it was dry. Nothing came flying out all over the place. Yeah, I got to go back and the video's actually on my YouTube channel library. I got to go back and look at it. I'm at the age now where I can't remember half the things that happened 5 minutes ago, let alone 20 years ago.
Yeah. All right, let's take a look at Bill's here. I think I got your stuff
caught
now.
in rough surf were
That's it.
All right. So what's going on here? Explain what's happening
just to start. Well, stop it. It's a little package about Australia and a device they have to save people who are drowning.
Drone rescue. 2 boys struggling in the waters off the Australian coast. It's in New South Wales today. Lifeguards sent a drone called the Little Ripper out to help. The drone dropped an inflatable rescue pod to the boys. Look at that. It's pretty cool. They were able to grab onto it and make it to shore.
Wow.
That's great.
Then eaten by sharks. Before they got to shore. It is Australia.
Nice.
Dropped the thing. The shark side, I thought it was over. But
Otherwise, a really great idea.
Otherwise, it was a great
story.
Really good attempt.
Eating sharks.
That's Kevin over there.
Oh,
boy.
All right.
Oh gosh.
That's the fun you can have.
Ugh, yeah.
It was a lot of fun. It really was.
Yeah, there were things that happened, and like I said, I'm looking for this video. It was funny because I'll just tell you about it. I'll try to grab it while you guys are talking. But I was actually at the New Jersey News 12 studios only a few years ago, and they had a new set. And in the back, there was like, you never see how sets are made. It's like you have these little like secret walkways behind some of the backs of the sets, and the way the studios are set. Sometimes the camera is actually panning sometimes or shooting. You've seen how the big studios do this. And sometimes it shows a part of the studio that's not really supposed to be in the studio. So I'm walking to try to get through the studio. I'm in the back behind this big wall, and I kind of stick my head out. I hear the music. I hear that they were interviewing the governor, Phil Murphy in New Jersey. They were both on the set. As they're finishing up, I didn't know the show was still going. They were panning, and there I am walking right into the set with the governor on the set. And I think I was on my phone or doing something. I think I waved and went hello, and I was like, uh-oh. I got a phone call from the director saying, "Yeah, you just made air with the governor." I'm like, terrific. It's like you don't know sometimes what's going on out there. That's the funny things. It's just, things just happen on the set. Noises and strange occurrences. But that's part of TV, right? I mean, you handle it the best way you can. I mean, patent radio, it's different because you're not really there visually. But I mean, have you had radio situations where things went weird, where tracks came up wrong, or things like just went blank or kaput?
Oh, many times. Like Joe, late, they're introducing me. I'm not even sitting down yet. Or I remember one time forecasting 3, 4, 5 inches of snow going on and on and on and on. The the host didn't say a word till I was all through, and he said, "Okay, is this a joke?" And I said, "Not at all." He said, "Well, I didn't know we get snow in Fort Lauderdale, Florida." So I had the wrong forecast on the wrong station.
Gosh.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Oh,
that
gosh.
must have been that must have been
WFTL, I think. Joe, you may know it. Yeah, something like that.
Wow. I did that in the Air Force, by the way. Wrong forecast.
Wrong forecast.
This is Rome, New York, Griffiths Air Force Base. We had a SAC unit there, Strategic Air Command, and there was something going on back then called Chrome Dome. Now, it doesn't refer to this. There was always a number of B-52s armed with hydrogen weapons orbiting the pole area. They'd take off, be a 24-hour mission. Anyway, we'd brief in the morning what's coming up via TV. They would be in their alert place, and I'd be in the weather center, and I started going over the weather and, showing the U.S. weather. Here's Rome, we're good, and a little front here, that. And I said, notice over the northern reaches, pretty much the same as yesterday. We had that high over. I said, wait a second. Oh, wait, excuse me. That is yesterday's weather. Let me get today's weather for you. Well, that was a little embarrassing.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We're going
Not
to
that it matters.
still a few more topics and callers, questions to get.
Anyway, but I found the video here. Just
good.
You're gonna love this one. So now they're doing this is like Eric Lanscombe, I believe. That's Phil Murphy, and they're doing the power and politics. They're doing their show on the set. And if you look carefully to the back left there, you're gonna see yours truly kind of just sneak in there. Oops.
You were in prayer mode. You were in prayer mode.
I was praying I wouldn't get caught, and then
it was Father Rich Von Olin.
That was it. That was my claim to fame in New Jersey. But stuff doing TV all your life, guaranteed at some point, if you do it long enough, weird stuff is going to happen. And these are some of our best stories here. But fortunately, nothing that we did got us booted. Right? I mean, we were all. That was all good
fun. All good. Remember our friend Norm DeVoskin, who recently passed away? He had a classic. Maybe the video's out there someplace. He was doing a remote weathercast, and it was in the spring, and he had on like a top coat or something, and he's doing it, and it's a full frame picture down to his feet, and you can see a little black kitten. I don't know what color it was, kind of going towards him, started to climb up his leg and up under his coat, and poked his head out here. Geez. And Norm, without missing a beat, said, "Now for the fur cast." Norm was great. Miss him.
Yeah, that was a good one there too. Yeah. But
he could pun better than just about anybody.
Yeah, you wrote a book on it. 2 books actually, right? Now there were 2 books he wrote. He wrote it was like sunny with a chance, partly sunny with a partly funny, I think, with a chance of something.
Yeah. I got one inside there someplace.
And then the weather, wit, and wisdom one. He actually gave me that. He had all the puns in there. It was actually sat down and read it. It was pretty funny. All the stuff. I don't know where he came up with this stuff, but it was pretty good.
Weather was second, and no matter how important the weather, you get that pun in first.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, this has been fun today, and I've enjoyed the stories as usual. Hopefully, we can get Joe Rayo back. He had a good story. I tell you, I'm thinking about the one he told me about. I think it was a certain vegetable that he was talking about.
Oh yeah. Save it for when he gets on.
So I like to hear that from have him tell the story. I think it'd be good for him. But this was a little fun today. We've got more episodes coming up, more stuff that we'll continue to. Check in with topics, of course, and join us again. We'll try to do this again, maybe this week, maybe next week. We'll have you updated, let you know what's happening. And in the meantime, thanks for joining this afternoon on this pretty nice Monday so far. And I guess we got some weather coming in this week. And also, we're going to April Fools. Anything, no more April Fools. Whoever did that, right? The weather forecast for April Fools, we put a snowstorm up there. Is that getting old?
Yeah.
It got old years ago, decades ago.
Yeah. We got to
tomorrow. You'll see some people put it up as if it's never been done before.
Yeah. We've all made fools of ourselves. It doesn't have to just be April 1st.
That's right.
Yeah, that's correct.
You got it. All right. Well, it's been fun. Thank you,
everybody, and have a great day.
Wonderful afternoon. Enjoy, and we'll see you back here again on Weather Legends.